Where did guitars originate? Is that ancient Egypt? We all understand what guitars are, everything they do, and how they sound. But when did they originate? It's high time we discuss ancient guitars. Ancient guitars from 4000 years ago. The history of the guitar, as we recognize it, dates back fewer than 200 years. Although pieces that are like guitars have been there for far longer. In reality, we have discovered drawings of items that look a lot like guitars in Babylonia and Mesopotamia that are over 4000 years old. But we will not sit here and ponder over just what of ancient guitars and eras. We are going to speak more about oud and the tanbur, which are probably the ancestors of nearly every guitar-like musical instrument out there. The oud. The oud, which is the progenitor of the contemporary lute, is far less mysterious than ancient guitars. It is identical to the tanbur but seems to have 10 to 12 strings, no fretboard, a thinner neck, 3 sound openings, and somewhat rounder frame. They invented it in Arabia around 3000 BC. Some believe the oud to be one of the oldest known instruments, which is also one of the most important in the Gulf region. We frequently regarded it as the forerunner of the Iranian barbat and the source of the pharaoh hieroglyph Nefer. When the Moors conquered Spain in the 1400s, they took the oud with them from northern Africa. The oud strengthened into the lute, resembling ancient guitars. We strung the lute to more closely resemble Western scales and composition, while still the oud was not stringed to allow Arabic artists to perform quartet tones. The tanbur. Let us begin by discussing the tanbur instrument. Among the ancient guitars, the tanbur is a very ancient instrument. The pear-shaped Kurdish tanbur has a deep depression and is typically constructed of mulberry hardwood. It features a classic neck with 14 frets with 2 or 3 strings attached to the sides and the front. Traditional tanburs were chiseled out of a monolithic plank of wood, but they are still produced with ribbing rather than carving. Traditionally, the tanbur was plucked and strung with the intense dance of culled animals those days. Mainly, it could be cows or cats, as was the case with several other ancient guitars and other instruments we know till date. The tanbur had just 2 strings for hundreds of years. After all, just before Nur Ali Ilahi, the piece's unrivaled maestro, added an extra chord and 14th fret, his ideas were crucial because they ushered in a new age of development in both performing techniques as well as the musical style. Guitar's ancestors. We can find stringed instruments throughout history. Each culture has its own twists and turns because of country clashes and mergers. Advanced techniques and their historical predecessors do not have a direct relationship. They are all either tangled and twisted history of ancient guitars. However, if you follow the line closely enough, you will be able to see how dozens of new instruments and civilizations came together to form what we currently know. So, the very next time you take up a guitar, keep in mind where it originated from. The guitar is undoubtedly a magical piece.